Thanks, Sarah. Just let me know whenever I can begin.
Hello, participants. Good afternoon, and welcome to the explainer sessions of the problem statements that's coming from Bank of Singapore. Today, we have with us Ms. Stephanie Ting, who's going to take us through the problem statement and help us understand of what essentially is needed or what is the kind of expectations we have in terms of your solutions that you would build through the problem statement, right? Uh, so Stephanie comes from Bank of Singapore, and the session or the explainer that she would do is on the problem statement that is how do we create an MVP for client event management application, right? So MVP is obviously you'll know that it is the most viable product, and Stephanie will be helping us to understand of how to go about in terms of building and what is the expected solution, what is the technology stack that you would use, and what is it that Bank of Singapore is expecting out of you through the solution, right? So without much ado, I will now hand it over to Stephanie. Stephanie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Stanford. Hi, everyone. Very good evening and good day wherever you are. I am Stephanie and I'm from the client experience team. First and foremost, a very big thank you for taking up the challenge to really look into our problem statement for the client event management tool. I would like to take you through, some of the journeys that we are having in-house, and then what are some of the expectations that we would like you to work on this problem statement. Is there a next slide? Okay. So for everyone who is here today, allow me to just give you a brief introduction of the current as-if state in Bank of Singapore. We have a team known as the event management team who organizes events for our clients. But as part of the logistics and management behind it, there's a lot of administrative and laborious work behind the scenes in order for an event, a physical event that can take place. Now, how it really works is this, right? I'm sorry, may I have the journey as well, please? Do you have the journey map that I've sent over? Okay, don't worry about that. All right. So executive, just give you a brief summary of the entire journey that an event manager takes within the bank. It's first and foremost, the person who is organizing the event will have to first create an event um, in a tool or could conceptualize the event, and then after which the event will be then broadcast to our bankers, and the bankers would then have to nominate people to attend this program. So just think about it this way, right? So if you are in school, and you want to organize a movie night, for example, for your fellow students, what you need to do is to, of course, to think of the theme, to think of the logistics, where you're going to have this movie, what movie are you going to show, who are the people that will be coming. So in the same light, right, for our event manager, they will think of themes that are related to banking. So it could be a showcase of what are the latest research or what are the latest macroeconomic trends. Like today, there's a lot of talks around the Trump tariffs as an example. So they will create an event, and the clients will then come to this event to listen, to our speakers, to get an insight into what sort of investment decisions and climate they are in, and what sort of products they can invest in. So then with that in mind, the event manager will then reach out to our bankers to find out from them, hey, which of your clients are able to attend, such an event. The bankers would then need to think, okay, because they might have many clients, they would then have to have a set of criteria to then determine whom they might be able to send over, for such an event. And they will go through a process of filtering, some of these clients who meet certain criteria. It could be maybe the amount of assets they have with the bank. It also could, boil down to, they have a certain affinity for a certain product group, whatever that may be. So there will be a criteria that will be communicated to the bankers for them to select their clients. Now, after they select their clients, there needs to be an approval process, because after all, there will be limited spaces in the event, and then they will then need to go through, approvals from their team heads, as well as the managers to say, okay, you are entitled to X number of seats, in this event itself. The final list will then go back to the event manager, and the event manager will then filter out all these lists to make sure that the event venue can accommodate all these people before the invitation is being sent out to the clients. And thereafter, when the events are details are communicated to the clients, then they will start to have RSVP to make a note whether the clients will be coming back, and they will coming for the event, and what sort of dietary requirements or any special arrangements needs to be made for them. Now, with the final list itself, on the actual day of the event, they will then also need to tally the actual attendance of the clients vis-a-vis what was registered, and then place them accordingly. Now, what we want to do in this whole experience is to digitalize it. Currently, the problem that we are facing is all these are manually done. Can you imagine lots of spreadsheets passed across one person to another? And there's a lot of tools and scrolls, there's a lot of communications, and sometimes there are many different versions of client list. Could be client list A, version 1.2, version 2.2, and it's very confusing as well. So what we want to do is to solve the problem for our event manager to make sure that all these records are digitalized into a platform, and it can be tracked and flow through from departments to departments, making sure that every data and detail are captured correctly. So there are three things that we want to achieve. Number one is we want to streamline the entire process between our event managers as well as what we call the bankers, and within the bankers itself to make sure that is proper accounting and proper approval process. Number two, we also want to make sure that the experience with engaging our clients is coordinated as well. So after the final list is being received from our bankers, when our marketing event manager go out to the clients, they make sure that, they are invited properly, they have a standard template reflect our brand, but more importantly, when they come for our actual events, they know, where they be seated, and the whole experience is almost seamless. And last but not least, the third outcome that we want to actually get from a digital tool is to have performance tracking, especially post-event analytics. Now, you can imagine that from a bank perspective, there's a lot of money that will be spent on organizing these events. So we want the client's feedback on how they actually feel and experience the event. We want to know whether the monies that we have spent, it's reasonable and and compelling for the clients, but more importantly, it makes sense for the bank as well. And on top of that, we want to also receive feedback from the client in terms of what key takeaways they have from the events, and whether the event was something useful and meaningful in their investment needs. Right. So the post-event analytics will be important for us. Now, moving on itself, what are some of the things that we also want to solve at this point of time? Is currently there's a lot of lack of real-time visibility in terms of data, because all these are all on Excel spreadsheets. So what we need is actually, importantly, is data governance, making sure that when this platform is built, the data that fits inside this platform correctly reflects the data that comes from all the teams, and then making sure that this is easy for use for everyone. And more importantly, it translates into the performance analytics that we are looking at. So I repeat, one of the goals is we want to actually make sure that the event planning is smoothened, number one. Okay, so you have a step-by-step journey from handoff from the event managers to the bankers, to the approval process, back to the event manager, and finally the event day itself and the performance metrics. And we want to improve to make sure that the communications between departments are streamlined, the communication with our clients have a seamless experience, and more importantly, we get proper analytics on the effectiveness of the program as well as the money spent. And what we hope to achieve out of this whole initiative is to make sure that there is responsive client engagement, there's personalized outreach, and more importantly, it makes live planning for events easier for our event manager. So maybe I pause over here for any questions that you may have.
The participants in the room today. You can drop in your questions in the chat box and we'll be able to answer those for you. Stephanie, I think we can continue and we will be we can address the questions at the end of the session. Stephanie, we can't hear you.
Okay, let me show you the journey map. It's over here. Can you see my screen? I
Yes,
think,
it is
okay,
visible.
great. So I think this gives you a better visual of what we are looking at. Okay. So there are 7 steps essentially on this journey. First and foremost is creating marketing events, and this is done by the marketing managers. And thereafter, when the event is actually created, it will be sent to the bankers and their managers to nominate clients. Once the nomination process is done and the approval process are done, so the nomination will be by the bankers. The approval process will be by the bankers' managers. And once this is done, it goes back to the marketing team, the event managers, and then the invites will be sent out. So what we're looking at is if the platform itself can, generate an auto invite align with the bank's branding, that would be perfect. And then thereafter, um, perhaps the tool itself can RSVP the client's confirmation. Otherwise, it will have to be sent in email format back to the bank. Then the event managers will then make sure that the total numbers of clients attending that day fits into the event hall or wherever that might be held. Now, on the event actual day itself, the tool should be able to then identify which clients are seated in whichever table, as an example, and then do the seat assignment automatically. At the same time, The tool should also give a notification to the bankers to inform the clients that, hey, so the other bankers that, hey, your client has arrived, you may go and meet your client at the event. And then thereafter the event itself, when let's say you close the event, automated email gets sent out to the clients to thank them for their attendance, and perhaps give a summary of the insights that were shared at the event. And then perhaps the client could actually do a quick survey of the events. They can rate certain things from the quality of the speakers to the experience to the food, and the time, the duration, and so on and so forth. And then last but not least, it ends off with the marketing managers, having the ability to pull out analytics. So some of the jobs to be done in this app, what we're looking at is to make sure that we can manage the event from selection or from creation all the way through to invitation and post-event metrics. We want to also make sure that there is ease of engagement, particularly with our bankers, because they're very busy. We want to make sure that it's tool to be able to help them to select their clients from our criteria that's given to them. And more importantly, we want to also free up time for our marketing managers so that they will be able to do other more meaningful jobs. So the expectation from you is to build a tool which allows them to create events, to nominate clients, to approval, and finally, on the actual day itself, what are some of the uh, um, attendance list, and finally being able to create, maybe create a Power BI or perhaps a dashboard to show, the metrics of the events. So this is in a nutshell of what I would like to share with you. I stop here for questions. Is there any
Yeah, I think
portion of
Stephanie,
it not very clear? Yeah, hi,
I think
Delor.
there is a question on the chat actually
Okay.
asking about the expected workflow and simple data set. For the data set, I'm working on that. So I will prepare the simple data set with dummy data for them. And then we are going to push it on maybe GitHub or maybe send by emails. I think GitHub was, the preferred channel for this.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Definitely, we have another question from our candidate
Ashta.
called Astha. Yes,
Okay.
and she has asked if, hi, could you please explain the post-event administration phase in more detail?
Okay. So my colleague Jie Wei has also identified the question as well. So essentially, what are some of the post-event administration phase? Is after the event itself, the manager will need to tally a few categories. Number one, they will need to clean up the attendance list versus the registration list of the clients who attended the event. Number two, they will also need to make sure that the budget as well as the actual spend is tabulated as well. Number three, it will be good to have feedback from the clients in terms of what is the experience of the event. So for post-event administration, it would be great if there could be analytics around these three areas, and that comes up with a dashboard so that it can be used for management presentation. And then that will be the end of the event. So I hope that answers your question. Any further questions?
Um, I don't see any of the questions currently in our chat box. I think I request all the participants that are there today with us, if you all have any questions and you all want the mentors to solve it for you, I mean, this is a good time. And Stephanie, I think we can wait for another couple of more minutes before we wrap it up. And we also have a dedicated Discord channel for Bank of Singapore where the participants can join in and pose their queries there.
Sure.
The
Yes, feel
link
free to
to
reach
the
out to us.
The link to the Discord channel is uh, added in the chat box.
So I think many of you would have the experience of perhaps buying tickets, right, for a concert. So think about it in the same light as well, right? So if you were the event manager to organize a Taylor Swift concert, what are some of the logistics behind the scenes that needs to happen? So it's a very similar event management tool, except this is more in-house. And what is pertinent for us, the problem that we need you to solve is the in-house process of getting our clients nominated as well as approving it in the system, right? According to a set of criteria. Usually it is what we call as a asset under management, the amount of assets the client has with us, and we'll prioritize their invitation to the events. And then thereafter, it's like, just imagine if you go to Taylor Swift ticket, you show your ticket, and then somebody scans you in, you get into your seat. And then after that, I believe, the event management team will also need to close off some event management as well, making sure that the monies are collected. You have a good experience at the concert and so on and so forth. So just think along that lines, right? And I think you'll be on the right track. So the key is simplicity, is that what we're looking at, and intuitive, right? Because the bankers are very busy people, it has to be intuitive. And if our clients wise, the app must, reflect the brand of a private bank. In fact, evoke a certain elegance and class, but more importantly, the experience should be seamless because they're all very busy people. And if you have any questions down the line, you can feel free to, reach out to myself or Dalo. Dalo, you have anything else to add?
I think it's clear enough. If you have any question about the technology we have here at Bank of Singapore or the data set, we'll be happy to also help you on that side. So data set will be available maybe by next week. Yeah. So Friday maybe, yeah.
But otherwise, if you have no questions, I wish you all the very best, and thank you, for being part of this community and taking up the challenge of building this app for us. It'd be a game changer for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Great.
Stephanie.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
While there are no questions immediately, this beautiful session is being recorded and it is going to be as an on-demand content available to participants. So I'm sure there might be more questions later on which will come up and which we can answer. So thank you so much for delivering this beautiful session this afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.